Hey everyone. Thanks for stopping by the channel. If you enjoy these stories and want the full uncensored versions with much hotter exclusive content, be sure to check out my Patreon. There are already over 850 stories available, with new parts released every day. You can also submit your own ideas and vote in polls to decide what stories come next. Right now, poll number 27 is active on Patreon, and the results will help decide which stories are released on both YouTube and Patreon. This story was chosen there as well. Patreon also gets exclusive stories every week that will never be posted on YouTube. All links are in the description and pinned comment. Subscribe, stay connected, and enjoy the story. The night was quiet on the hidden training field at the edge of Konoha. Moonlight filtered through the tall trees, casting silver patterns across the grass. Hinata stood a few meters from Naruto, her dark blue jacket slightly open at the collar, lavender eyes focused but soft. Naruto grinned, rolling his shoulders in his black tank top and loose pants, the familiar whisker marks on his cheeks catching the light. "Ready when you are, Hinata-chan," he said, voice warm. She nodded, cheeks already faintly pink. "Let's practice the new gentle fist combination, just the two of us tonight." The air between them felt calm, almost intimate. Neither of them knew that in the next few minutes everything would change. Hinata's finger connected with the precise tenketsu point just below Naruto's navel. The chakra pulse was small, controlled, meant only to demonstrate. But something ancient and forgotten answered. Naruto's entire body locked up. A white-hot wave exploded outward from the point of contact. It wasn't pain. It was pleasure so sharp and sudden it stole the air from his lungs. Every nerve ending lit up at once. His skin became hypersensitive in an instant. The brush of his own shirt against his chest felt like a lover's tongue. The night breeze sliding under the hem of his tank top sent electric sparks straight to his groin. His hardness swelled so fast it hurt, throbbing violently against the fabric. "Ah!" The sound tore from his throat, raw and helpless. His knees buckled. He dropped to one, hand flying to his lower abdomen. His hips jerked forward involuntarily as another pulse rolled through him. The simple act of fabric rubbing against the head was enough to make his vision blur. Hinata's eyes widened in horror. "And Naruto-kun? What's wrong?" She stepped forward on instinct, reaching out. Her fingers brushed his shoulder through the thin tank top. Naruto gasped like he'd been struck by lightning. The light touch, barely anything, sent a bolt of pure pleasure straight down his spine. His sword twitched hard. His sensitive buttons hardened instantly against the fabric. A broken moan escaped him before he could bite it back. Hinata froze, hands still on his shoulder. She felt the violent tremor that ran through his entire frame. Saw the way his pupils blew wide, the flush that exploded across his whiskered cheeks and down his neck. Saw the obvious, massive wand straining against his pants and the growing wet spot. Her own face burned crimson. I only used a light strike. What did I hit?" The training had started normally. They had met after sunset, as they sometimes did when Hinata wanted to refine her gentle fist without the pressure of the Hyuga compound. Naruto was always happy to help. He trusted her completely. She trusted him. Hinata had been excited to show him a new variation she had been developing. A softer, more precise application of the gentle fist meant to disrupt chakra flow with minimal force. She explained the theory while they stretched. Naruto listened with that open, eager expression that always made her heart flutter. They began slow. She demonstrated the stance. He mirrored it. They moved through the forms together, her Byakugan active, his movements steady and powerful. The night was peaceful. Their breathing synced. Every now and then their eyes met, and she felt that familiar warm flutter in her chest. "Try hitting here," she had said, tapping a point on her own lower abdomen, just above the waistband of her pants. "Not hard. Just enough to send a small pulse. I want to see if I can make the disruption travel upward without damaging the surrounding tenketsu." Naruto nodded, focused. "Got it. Like this?" He stepped in. His palm was open, chakra gathered lightly at the fingertips. Hinata corrected his angle gently with her own hand on his wrist. No, a little lower. Here. She guided him. He adjusted. The strike was supposed to be a demonstration on her. But at the last second she changed her mind. She wanted to feel it herself to calibrate the power. Actually, hit me first, she said. Then I'll hit you so we can compare. Naruto grinned. You sure? I'm sure. He struck. The pulse was perfect. She felt the brief, clean disruption and nodded in satisfaction. Then it was her turn. She faced him, Byakugan active, finger extended. She aimed for the corresponding point on his body, the one she had just shown him. Her strike was light, controlled, exactly as she intended. But her finger landed 2 centimeters lower than planned. The moment of contact was barely a tap. And the world changed. Naruto tried to stand. The moment he shifted his weight, the fabric of his pants dragged across the oversensitive head of his hardness. Another thick pulse of precum soaked through. His thighs trembled. He had to bite his lip hard to keep from moaning out loud. Hinata's hand was still on his shoulder. She could feel how hot his skin was through the thin material. How his muscles kept twitching under her palm. I'm okay, he managed, voice rough. Just give me a second. But when the breeze picked up and slipped under his tank top, brushing his lower back, his whole body jerked. His hardness throbbed visibly. Another spurt. The wet spot was spreading. Hinata's lavender eyes were wide, locked on the obvious evidence of what was happening to him. Guilt crashed over her in a wave, but beneath it something else stirred, hot, shameful, and impossible to ignore. She swallowed. Naruto-kun, your body is reacting, strangely. Did I damage something? Should I call Sakura-san right now? He shook his head quickly, but even that small motion made his shirt rub against his chest, and he hissed. And no. I don't think it's damage. It doesn't hurt. It's just, everything feels really intense. Like every touch is 10 times stronger. Hinata's fingers tightened slightly on his shoulder without meaning to. Naruto's knees almost gave out. A low, desperate sound escaped him. His hardness jumped hard in his pants, another long string of precum soaking the fabric and dripping down his leg. Hinata stared. Her face was burning. Her own thighs pressed together instinctively. She could see how much he was struggling. How much he needed relief. And it was her fault. She made her decision in a rush of guilt and something hotter. Let me help you, she whispered, voice barely audible. Before Sakura-san comes. You can't walk like this. I did this. So let me fix it. Hinata guided him backward until his back rested against the thick trunk of an old tree at the edge of the clearing. The bark was rough through his thin tank top, but even that sensation sent sparks dancing across his oversensitive skin. He was breathing hard already, chest rising and falling rapidly. She knelt in front of him on the grass, lavender eyes flicking up to his face, then down to the obvious, heavy bulge. The wet spot at the front had grown. She could smell the faint scent of his mixed with the night air. I'm sorry, she whispered again, cheeks flaming. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the hem of his tank top. I need to see what's happening. She lifted the fabric slowly. Inch by inch, his toned stomach was revealed, the faint scars from old battles, the line of golden hair leading downward. When the cool night air hit his bare skin, Naruto's abs clenched hard. A broken moan slipped out. Hinata's breath caught. His skin looked feverish. A light sheen of sweat already glistened on his abdomen. She placed both palms flat on his stomach, just above the waistband. Naruto's entire body arched. Hinata! The simple touch of her warm, soft hands sent a lightning bolt of pleasure straight to his wand. It twitched violently, another thick spurt of soaking through his pants. His hips bucked forward on their own. His mind went fuzzy at the edges, thoughts dissolving into pure sensation. Hinata's eyes widened. She could feel the heat radiating off him. Feel the way his muscles jumped and trembled under her fingers with every tiny movement. She slid her hands upwards slowly, exploring. Over the ridges of his abs, up to his chest. When her thumbs brushed over his sensitive buttons, he cried out, a sharp, desperate sound, and his stick throbbed so hard she saw it. As so sensitive. She breathed, more to herself than to him. Her own face was burning, but she didn't stop. Guilt and a growing, shameful curiosity drove her hands. Everywhere I touch, it's this strong? She leaned in closer. Her long dark blue hair fell forward, brushing lightly against his bare stomach as she moved. The silky strands dragged across his skin. Naruto's hips jerked hard. Ah! Hinata-chan, your hair, it's… She froze for a second, then deliberately let her hair sweep across his lower abdomen again, slower this time. His reaction was immediate and intense. Another spurt of pre-cum, a full-body shudder, a broken whimper. Her panties were already damp. Want the full uncensored 18+ scene? Only $4 on Patreon, 850+ scorching hot episodes. Hinata stayed with him as the overwhelming sensation slowly eased, her touch careful and steady until the intense waves gradually subsided, leaving him panting and spent against the tree. She reached for her communicator with a shaky hand. Sakura-san, she said quietly when the line connected, voice barely steady. It's an emergency. But please don't bring anyone else. Just come to the old training field. Quickly. Sakura arrived faster than expected, medical bag slung over her shoulder, pink hair tied back, green eyes sharp with concern. She took one look at the scene, Naruto slumped against the tree, the evidence of what had happened still visible, Hinata flushed and guilty, and her professional mask slipped for a second. What the hell happened? Hinata explained in a rushed, embarrassed whisper while Sakura checked Naruto's pulse and chakra flow. When Hinata described the accidental strike and the extreme sensitivity that followed, Sakura's eyebrows rose higher and higher. She had Naruto lie down on the grass. He was still breathing hard, still half-hard, still leaking slowly. Sakura's gloved hands began a careful examination. At first it was clinical, checking the tenketsu point, sending small pulses of medical chakra. But every time her fingers brushed his bare skin, Naruto reacted. Strongly. When she touched his lower abdomen again, his hardness twitched and another bead welled up. Sakura's cheeks colored. She glanced at Hinata, who was kneeling beside them, looking mortified but unable to look away. This isn't normal chakra disruption, Sakura muttered. She removed one glove, then hesitated. I need direct contact to assess the nerve response properly. She placed her bare hand on his stomach. Naruto groaned, hips lifting slightly. His hardness jerked. Sakura's breath hitched. She slid her hand lower, checking the area with professional focus that was rapidly cracking. When her fingers brushed lower, he moaned loudly. Hinata watched, face burning, but didn't stop her. She reached out and gently took Naruto's hand, squeezing it. Sakura looked between them. Her green eyes were darker now, cheeks flushed. Professionalism warred with something else in her expression. We need to see how widespread this is, she said quietly, and how to relieve the pressure safely. Want the full uncensored 18+ scene? Only $4 on Patreon, 850+ scorching hot episodes. Hinata's fingers tightened on Naruto's.
Guys, please don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment if you enjoyed it. It means the world to me and gives me a huge boost of motivation. Your support keeps me going.
Sakura's bare hand closed around Naruto's stick with clinical precision that didn't last more than 3 seconds. The moment her warm fingers made full contact, his entire body arched off the grass. A guttural, broken sound tore from his throat. Fuck, Sakura! She stared at the reaction, eyes wide, professional mask cracking further. It's even more intense than I thought. Every nerve is firing like it's been overstimulated for hours. Hinata knelt closer on his other side, still holding his hand. Her long dark blue hair fell forward as she leaned in, brushing his bare chest. Even that light contact made him twitch hard. I tried to help earlier, Hinata whispered, voice small and guilty. But it didn't calm down completely. Sakura's thumb brushed experimentally over the slick head. Naruto's hips bucked. She watched, fascinated and aroused despite herself, as his body reacted with every tiny movement of her hand. This is medically fascinating, she muttered, but her voice was breathier than usual. And clearly overwhelming for him. She began to stroke. Slow, measured strokes at first, testing. But every stroke made Naruto moan louder, made his thighs shake. Hinata watched her friend's hand moving on him. Her own face was burning, but she didn't look away. Instead, she reached out with her free hand and gently placed it on Naruto's chest, right over his heart. She could feel how fast it was racing. Naruto turned his head toward her, blue eyes glassy with pleasure. Hinata. Sakura, it's too much, I can't, Sakura's strokes grew a little faster, a little firmer. Her other hand rested on his inner thigh, thumb stroking small circles. Even that made him cry out. Hinata leaned down and pressed a soft, trembling kiss to his cheek, then another to the corner of his mouth. It's okay, she whispered against his skin. We're here. We'll help you. Want the full uncensored 18+ scene? Only $4 on Patreon, 850+ scorching hot episodes. Sakura didn't stop until the overwhelming waves slowly subsided. She stared at her hand, breathing harder than she should have been for a medical examination. Naruto collapsed back onto the grass, completely spent for the moment, chest heaving, eyes unfocused. His body still twitched weakly. The three of them stayed like that for a long moment, the night air cool against heated skin, the scent of sex and sweat hanging between them. Sakura finally spoke, voice low and slightly shaky. This isn't going away on its own. And we can't take him to the hospital like this. Hinata nodded, still gently stroking Naruto's hair. What do we do? Sakura looked at both of them, at the way Hinata was touching him so tenderly, at the way Naruto's body still reacted even now to the lightest contact. We need a private place. Somewhere we can run proper tests without being seen. She hesitated, then added, and we might need Ino. Her mind techniques could help us understand what's happening in his head. Or at least help him process the overload. Hinata's cheeks flushed darker, but she didn't refuse. Naruto, still dazed, managed a weak, breathless laugh. You two are gonna kill me. Sakura wiped her hand on a clean cloth from her bag, but her green eyes stayed on him, thoughtful, flushed, and already calculating. This was no longer just a medical emergency. It was something else entirely. And none of them were ready to stop. The walk to Sakura's private clinic room took longer than it should have. It was well past midnight. The streets of Konoha were quiet, but every step was a struggle for Naruto. The simple act of walking made his pants rub against his still sensitive body with every movement. Even the night breeze slipping under his open jacket sent sparks across his skin. Hinata walked close on his left, one arm lightly around his waist to steady him. Sakura walked on his right, medical bag in hand, green eyes constantly scanning for anyone who might see them. By the time they reached the small back entrance of the clinic, Naruto was breathing hard again. Hinata's cheeks were still flushed from what had happened on the training field. Sakura's professional mask was firmly back in place, but her fingers kept tightening around the strap of her bag. She unlocked the door quickly and ushered them inside. The room was small but private. A combination of examination space and her personal after-hours quarters. One locked door separated it from the main clinic. She flipped the sign to closed and turned the deadbolt. Sit, she ordered quietly, pointing to the examination table. Both of you. We need to talk before we do anything else. Naruto sank onto the padded table with a groan. Even the slight bounce of the surface made his oversensitive body twitch. Hinata stayed standing close to him, her hand still resting lightly on his arm. The moment her fingers brushed his skin through the thin tank top, he shivered visibly. Sakura set her bag down and crossed her arms, looking between them. Her pink hair was slightly messy from the rush. Her green eyes were sharp, but there was a faint pink tint to her cheeks that hadn't been there earlier. Explain everything again. Slowly. From the beginning. Hinata took a shaky breath and recounted the training, the accidental strike, and the immediate overwhelming reactions. Naruto added what it felt like from his side, how every touch, every brush of fabric, every breeze felt like it was dialed up to maximum. Sakura listened without interrupting. When they finished, she was quiet for a long moment. I've never read about a tenketsu that does this, she finally said. It's not normal chakra disruption. It's like the point is amplifying nerve signals and pleasure responses specifically. And it doesn't seem to be fading. She moved to a small shelf and pulled down 2 old medical scrolls and a heavy book on rare chakra points. She spread them on the counter beside the table. I want to check these before we do anything more. But Naruto, you're still reacting to everything. Even sitting here, your body isn't calming down. As if to prove her point, a small draft from the vent brushed across his neck. He clenched his jaw, hips shifting involuntarily. Hinata's hand tightened on his arm. She looked at Sakura, then back at Naruto. Her lavender eyes were full of guilt, and something warmer. I don't want him to suffer all night, she said softly. If we can help him feel better, even for a little while. Sakura met her gaze. For a second the professional medic and the friend warred in her expression. Then she nodded once, slowly. Fine. But we do this carefully. And we document everything. If this is permanent, we need to understand it. She glanced at the locked door, then at the 2 of them. And I already sent a message to Ino. She's on her way. If anyone can help us figure out the mental side of this, it's her. Hinata's cheeks darkened further, but she didn't protest. Naruto let out a weak, breathless laugh. You two are really gonna team up on me, huh? Sakura's lips twitched despite herself. For medical purposes. The next 20 minutes were a strange mix of clinical discussion and rising tension. Sakura flipped through the scrolls while Hinata helped Naruto out of his jacket and tank top again. Every time fabric dragged across his skin he reacted, a sharp inhale, a twitch. Hinata's hands were gentle, but even her careful touches made him tremble. Sakura watched them both while pretending to read. She saw the way Hinata's fingers lingered a little too long on Naruto's bare chest. She saw the way his sensitive buttons hardened instantly from the cool air and Hinata's proximity. She saw the way Hinata's own breathing had changed, slower, heavier, her thighs pressing together under her dark blue pants. Sakura's own body was reacting too, though she tried to ignore it. She forced herself to focus on the text. There's a mention here of an old Hira technique. Something about sensory amplification points that were supposedly sealed away centuries ago because they were considered too dangerous for combat. If that's what you hit, Hinata. She looked up. Her green eyes met Hinata's lavender ones, then dropped to Naruto's exposed torso. Then we might be dealing with something that doesn't have a simple fix. Naruto shifted on the table. The movement made his pants rub against him again, and he bit back a moan. So what do we do? I can't even put normal clothes on without almost coming. Hinata's hand slid down his arm to his wrist, squeezing gently. We help you. However we can. Until we find a way to control it or reverse it. Sakura closed the book with a soft snap. She stepped closer to the table. The air in the small room felt thicker now. I need to do a proper examination, she said, voice lower than before. Full contact. No clothes. I have to map exactly which areas are affected and how strongly. Her eyes flicked to Hinata. You can stay. Help keep him calm. Or participate. Your choice. Hinata's face burned, but she didn't look away. After a long second she nodded. I'll stay. Sakura's lips curved into the smallest, most dangerous smile. Good. Then let's begin. Sakura had Naruto lie fully back on the examination table. She dimmed the lights slightly, leaving only the soft glow of a medical lamp above them. Hinata stood at his head, one hand resting lightly on his shoulder, the other gently stroking his hair in a soothing rhythm. Sakura stood at his side. She had removed both gloves. Her bare hands glowed faintly green with controlled medical chakra as she began the examination at his collarbones.
Tell me exactly what you feel,
she instructed, voice steady but slightly breathy.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Her fingertips traced down his chest. Even the light diagnostic touch made Naruto's back arch. His body reacted rapidly.
8, no, 9, Sakura!
When her glowing fingers brushed over his sensitive buttons, he cried out. They hardened instantly into tight peaks. Sakura's breath hitched. She pressed a little more firmly, sending a small pulse of chakra through the sensitive nubs. Naruto's hips bucked hard. Interesting, she murmured, though her cheeks were now visibly pink.
The amplification seems strongest in erogenous zones, but it's spreading.
She continued downward. Over his abs. Around his navel. Every inch of skin she touched reacted. Hinata watched everything from above. Her lavender eyes were wide, her own breathing uneven. She kept stroking his hair, but her free hand had drifted down to rest on his chest, thumb brushing one oversensitive button in small circles. Naruto moaned at the dual stimulation. Sakura hooked her fingers into his waistband and pulled his pants and underwear down in one smooth motion. His hardness sprang free, thick, flushed, shiny with pre-cum, the head already leaking a steady stream onto his stomach. She stared for a moment, professional curiosity warring with raw arousal. Then she wrapped one glowing hand around the base. Naruto's entire body jerked.
Fuck! Rate it,
Sakura said, but her voice cracked slightly.
10, it's too much, your hand is so warm,
She began to stroke.
Slow, deliberate strokes from base to head, using the medical chakra to heighten the sensation even further. Every upward slide made him cry out. Every downward stroke made more milk pour over her fingers. Hinata leaned down and kissed his forehead, then his temple, then the corner of his mouth.
You're doing so well, she whispered. Just let it happen. Sakura's other hand moved lower, cupping his balls gently before sliding further back to press lightly against his perineum with 2 fingers. She sent another small pulse of chakra there. Naruto's eyes rolled back. His hardness throbbed violently in her grip. His hips lifted off the table.
I'm gonna, Sakura, Hinata.
Want the full uncensored 18+ scene? Only $4 on Patreon, 850+ scorching hot episodes. Only when he finally collapsed back onto the table, gasping and twitching, did she slowly release him. Her cheeks were flushed deep red. Her own thighs were pressed tightly together. Hinata was breathing just as hard, her eyes glassy as she looked down at him. Sakura swallowed.
That was significantly more intense than the first time.
She looked at Hinata, then at the locked door.
Ino should be here any minute.
The soft knock came less than 5 minutes later. Sakura opened the door just enough for Ino to slip inside, then locked it again immediately. Ino Yamanaka stood there in casual clothes, a loose off-shoulder top and tight shorts that showed off her long legs. Her long blonde hair was down, falling in silky waves past her shoulders. She took one look at the scene, Naruto half naked and spent on the table, Hinata flushed and disheveled beside him, Sakura flushed and breathing hard, and a slow, wicked grin spread across her beautiful face.
Well,
she purred, blue eyes sparkling with mischief and interest.
You two really weren't kidding about the emergency.
She stepped closer, gaze raking over Naruto's exposed body. Sakura quickly explained the situation in a low voice while Ino listened, occasionally glancing at Naruto with growing fascination. When Sakura finished, Ino let out a low whistle.
So, every touch feels like that? And it's not going away?
She tilted her head, blonde hair cascading over one shoulder.
Sounds like he needs a lot of help tonight.
She moved to stand on Naruto's other side, opposite Hinata. Without asking permission, she reached out and let the very tips of her long blonde hair brush across his bare stomach. Naruto's entire body jolted. A sharp gasp escaped him. Even after the intense release, the light, tickling drag of her silky hair across his oversensitive skin made his body react again almost immediately. Ino's grin widened.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
She leaned down, her hair sweeping across his chest and sensitive buttons as she moved closer to his ear.
Hey, Naruto,
she whispered, voice low and teasing.
You look like you're having a really hard time. Want me to help too? Her breath ghosted over his ear. Combined with the constant brush of her hair, it was almost too much. His body reacted fully once more. Hinata watched, eyes wide, but didn't pull away. If anything, her hand on his chest tightened slightly. Sakura stood at the foot of the table, still flushed, but her professional curiosity had been replaced by something hotter. Ino straightened just enough to look at both girls. So, she said brightly, where do we start? Guys, please don't forget to hit that like button and drop a comment if you enjoyed it. It means the world to me and gives me a huge boost of motivation. Your support keeps me going. Ino didn't wait for an answer. She climbed onto the examination table with graceful ease, straddling Naruto's thighs without putting her full weight on him. Her long blonde hair fell forward like a golden curtain, brushing across his chest and stomach in constant, light, maddening strokes. Every single strand felt like fire on his hypersensitive skin. Naruto's hips bucked. Ino, your hair, it's driving me crazy. Hee, I can see that. She teased, blue eyes sparkling. She deliberately swept her hair from side to side across his sensitive buttons, watching his body react violently. Poor thing. Every little touch feels so good, doesn't it? While she tormented him with her hair, Sakura moved back to his side. Her hand wrapped around his throbbing hardness again. She started stroking slowly. Hinata stayed at his head. She leaned down and kissed him properly this time, soft, trembling, but growing bolder. Her tongue brushed his lips. He opened for her with a moan, and she deepened the kiss, one hand still playing with his oversensitive button. Ino watched them kiss with obvious enjoyment. She leaned forward, letting more of her hair drag across his lower abdomen while Sakura stroked him. Does it feel better when we all touch you at once? She asked, voice sweet and wicked. Tell us, Naruto. Be honest. He broke the kiss with Hinata just long enough to gasp. Why yes, it's too much, but I don't want it to stop. Ino's smile turned positively predatory. She shifted higher, letting her hair sweep across him in time with Sakura's strokes. The silky strands combined with the firm grip pushed him toward the edge again with terrifying speed. Hinata kissed down his jaw to his neck, sucking lightly on the sensitive skin there while her fingers pinched and rolled his nipple. Naruto's entire body went rigid. I'm finished again. Want the full uncensored 18+ scene? Only $4 on Patreon. 850+ scorching hot episodes. When he finally went limp beneath them, twitching and gasping, all three girls were breathing hard. Ino lifted a strand of her hair and examined it with a satisfied little hum. Wow. You really weren't exaggerating, forehead. Sakura slowly released him, staring at the mess. Her green eyes were dark with arousal. Hinata gently brushed Naruto's sweaty bangs from his forehead, her expression soft and guilty and fond all at once. Naruto lay there completely wrecked, chest heaving, mind foggy with pleasure and overstimulation. But even now, he could feel the sensitivity still humming under his skin. Sakura finally spoke, voice rough. We're keeping him here tonight. All of us. We need to monitor him. And run more tests in the morning? Ino grinned, already sliding off the table and fixing her hair. Sounds like a plan. Hinata looked down at Naruto, then at the two other girls. Her cheeks were still burning, but she nodded. For the first time since the accident, Naruto didn't feel completely alone with whatever this was. He had help. 3 very thorough, very curious helpers. And as exhausted as he was, a small, dazed part of him was already wondering what more tests would involve when the sun came up.